Yes, yes. All right, coming on with another dual episode of this week, 14 and 15. What's going on? What's happening? This is your golden dark day. Once again, coming to you with this week episodes 14 and 15. And as I'm speaking, as I'm covering my topics for this week that are mainly about the losses of highly well-known rap stars, including some current events, popular culture, information, relationship news, and the likes. As I'm going along, feel free to comment in the chat section, in the chat window to your right. And make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that you can remain in the loop and catch up on previous episodes and be aware of the next upcoming episodes. And again, comment throughout this video. I am live right now. So if you're joining me while I'm on live, welcome. And again, feel free to actively comment as I go along covering these topics from last week and from this week. So yeah, this happens to be another dual episode that I'm doing, unintended, but this is how it goes. This is how it goes in the world of, keeping track of current events and following up on and verifying information, news events and whatnot, and checking multiple sources and referring to multiple sources. And, sometimes things get drawn out. And so this is just another one of those results with this dual episode. It's nothing lost, though. It's absolutely nothing lost. So to begin covering topics, starting from the week that began April 4th, rather, and that concluded this week that began April 11th. I'm going to be talking about DMX and the loss of him and how that all went down, the conflicting information that came out in regards to the loss of DMX. I'm going to be talking about, going to be also covering some music news, just in regards to newly released music, seeking others' opinions on that, talking about information about upcoming, content programming that occurred on national television, and your opinion on if the cause was, worthwhile, if it was warranted, or if it was more so a publicity stunt. And that's a question I'm actually going to apply to at least two of these entertainers, Kid Cudi and Usher. Also, I'm going to be covering and seeking opinions on really just another person who's in the media. She's not necessarily in the spotlight actively, but she's known in the media headlines as far as reality TV goes, and just as it pertains to body image and your thoughts about that. and another relationship status that has changed, has been on a roller coaster, and it's taken another spin. And yeah, so that those are the topics I'll be covering on this dual episode. So getting started again, make sure that you like, subscribe to, and comment on this channel. And I appreciate you tuning in and checking it out. If it's your first time, that's excellent. And again, make sure you share it. So to start out, by now, pretty much, anybody who pays attention to music and is, cultured in listening to music knows that as of 2 weeks ago, DMX, whose real name is Earl Simmons, was hospitalized due to, excuse me, apparently experiencing a drug overdose, which resulted in a heart attack, which caused him to be hospitalized. And as of 2 weekends ago, when that information was initially released, it was also quickly followed by the inclusion of saying that he was on life support, and then saying that he had been taken off of life support. And that information was stated, the life support status was stated by his lawyer. And I thought that was kind of interesting for information, medical information, about somebody to be shared to the media via somebody who, represents them legally. But that's apparently, who was the first person to say something about DMX having been taken off of life support. And what was also odd about that to me was it just definitely had me questioning, I guess kind of the purpose of him being taken off life support, and how long his status was going to, remain the same after him being off taking life support occurred. And obviously this is despite whatever point in time it actually was reported, because, by the time news gets, published and, reaches media outlets, unless there's a live camera around the people, who are doing the talking, we never know how much time actually transpires in between activities and actions occurring from the point that they reach media platforms and outlets to us, to the general public. So anyhow, that was I guess I can go ahead and say that was a full circle of oddness to me when his lawyer said that DMX had been taken off life support. And so the result of that information subsequently was that they tried to backtrack that information, and somebody else, I guess who's on DMX's team, so to speak, was the next person that was speaking on DMX's behalf, claiming that, and actually now this was DMX's manager that came out next on April the 8th, saying that DMX was still on life support. So, that's a major flub. That was a major flub. And in my opinion, I consider something like that to be like, it's an unfortunate disgrace, because to have the people who are responsible for handling your literal best interest when you're in a position that you cannot communicate for yourself makes such an error when it comes to informing, and passing on information to the general public, and for that to have been the result, again, disgraceful if you ask me. It's like, when he first got in the hospital, he was on life support. Okay. You hear that he's taken off life support. Okay. Then you hear, no, he is still on life support. So was it that he was never taken off life support? Or was what the lawyer said accurate about him being taken off life support and that he got put back on? Because that is the thing that would create the major question: why is he being taken on and off life support? Like, what is the, I guess, advantage of that? Is that something that is a likely thing to occur in a medical setting? And from what I gather, it's not. So again, it's like, wow, what's going on here with this information? Why are there conflicting, reports being shared about DMX's medical status? So to me, that wasn't a good look for the sake, the reputation of really like his family. It also made me wonder, like, okay, what's happening with his family? Like, can't we hear from one of his family members? Since we got people who are not his blood relatives speaking on his behalf and providing mixed up details, two different accounts of his status. So as we all know at this point, after that information was reported by his manager saying that he was still on life support as of April the 8th, subsequently, a day or two later, 24 to 48 hours later, the next headline that came out about DMX was that he had passed away. And, at the end of it all, it seemed that the manager saying that DMX was still on life support gave a very obvious impression to me that if what the manager reported was accurate, as far as DMX being taken off life support, that the manager, doubled back as an attempt to literally save face, because it's possible that with DMX's manager having reported him being taken off life support was information that possibly was not supposed to have been released to the media. Okay. So then the manager doubles back. It's like, no, DMX is still on life support. Well, information is out that he's not, or that he was taken off of life support. So if anything, the manager, not the lawyer, that's who I was previously referring to, was actually the lawyer. The manager is coming back and saying, oh, no, he is still on life support. DMX is still on life support. Then that was strictly for the sake of trying to save face. But all in all, there's no way you can recover from information coming out. Like, you can never retract words from from being heard nor from being read. Once they're out and seen and heard, they're out and they're seen and they're heard, and there's no reversing that. So yeah, it just seemed to be an attempt of informational retraction, pointless and unsuccessful, because to see conflicting reports like that made it very apparent, like, well, okay, either way, whether he was taken off life support and put back on it, whether he was taken off life support and was not put back on it, what was clear was that it was not going to be too much longer before DMX would likely be considered and pronounced dead. And again, that was the subsequent result that occurred 24 to 48 hours after DMX's manager came out and said that DMX, quote, is still on life support, and asked fans to stop repeating false info. Well, why are you telling fans to stop repeating false info when the apparently false info was reported by DMX's lawyer? Again, if that information was not accurate, then the damage was already done, and there was no way to possibly repair that literal damage of that information having been spread by DMX's lawyer, not by the fans initially. So anyhow, again, we see what the end result was. By the end of last week, DMX was pronounced dead. That was obvious. It was pretty obvious. And likely it's clear that DMX was likely dead after his manager said that he was taking off life, no, after his lawyer rather said that he was taking off life support, and prior to DMX's manager coming back and trying to report that DMX was still on life support. Again, it was an attempt of informational and social retraction and cover up and correction. So it was a messy report and a messily reported timeline of someone's life hanging in the balance and being inaccurately informed of to the public in an unclear and inaccurate chronological way. So that in itself made the awareness and the information about DMX's situation even more unfortunate, if not equally as unfortunate as the cause of him, getting to that point of, being in a hospital by way of having accessed narcotics. So the last thing I have to say about that is that it's also been published by the social media within the last 48 hours that a public memorial for DMX will be held at the Barclays Center this coming weekend. So that's supposed to be occurring on April 24th in Brooklyn. And that information was reported by TMZ. That's the resource that I saw that information through. The logistics are still being worked on. It has not been determined how the exact number of people who will be permitted to enter that venue, but there will definitely be a limited capacity allowed due to COVID-19 and an intimate funeral service for DMX's close friends and as for his family the following day, which will be April 25th. It's next Sunday. So that's the end result of all that huge mix-up of information, conflicting information about DMX's care while he was hospitalized from having overdosed. I'm not really going to speak too much on people's acknowledgement of his death, was in high volume, of course, via social media, online and whatnot. Um, and again, not to speak too deeply about it, because again, right now, anybody who probably wasn't even familiar with DMX at minimum now is aware that he's passed away. But the only input of my opinion on it is that, I want to say the first thing that came to my mind after, it was reported that after it was officially reported that he passed, was on the recent versus battle that DMX and Snoop Dogg had, which was just a few months ago in 2020. I believe their battle occurred sometime in November. And I remember, a distinctive moment during that versus battle between he and Snoop where they were about to transition, they were transitioning between tracks. They were possibly changing the order of, who was going to start the next round. And I remember, and I haven't needed to, watch it twice. I distinctly recall when Snoop was talking and the DJ was getting ready to play one of his tracks. And so Snoop was, speaking a prelude to whatever that next track was going to be. And he specifically, made a statement relative to, giving a heads up to women to, let it be known that, this next track is going to be about, like the subject matter, this next track is, kind of celebrating the women and, the ladies and, all the ladies, get ready to get up and dance, things along those lines is what Snoop Dogg was saying. And so DMX chimes in the spirit of, piggybacking Snoop's prelude, and just to, give a show of friendly competition, so to speak. But what came out of his mouth was a total backfire, because what DMX said to piggyback off of Snoop's commentary leading into the song that was going to be played by Snoop was, yeah, for the bitches. And there was a clear pause of sound and movement. And it was undeniably noticeable, because it's like, wow, DMX really, generally views females, mentally categorizes females as bitches, like, period, and in general. So when he said, yeah, for the bitches, it's like, oh, that's his description of what Snoop said. That's his interpretation. That's DMX's translation of what Snoop just said. He could not also say women or chicks or ladies or girls. He felt the need and was compelled to refer to us, the female gender, as bitches instead. So that, that struck me, and obviously that, stuck with me. And again, that was like the first or second recollection, that obviously I, have been witness to of his life as a performer, most recently leading up to
the reports of his death. So it's like, and obviously, if that's one of the first things coming to your mind about a person, then likely your general, recollection of that person is not that favorable all the way around. So yeah, that's the thought and the feeling that my mind was surrounded by when it came to DMX being reported deceased. And something else that struck me as far as observing the, again, acknowledgement of others, of fans of his via social media, something that struck me sadly is I noticed somebody else that I know of via Instagram. They had a few things to say about him because they do videos, they do broadcasts on Instagram, and they were speaking, to let me know they were going to be talking about him, on that current episode that they were doing, and they referred to him as a king. But this is a woman. So when I heard her say that about him, it automatically made me a little sad in general, as well as for her, because it caused me to wonder, like, is she aware of his reference to women? Like, why is she calling him? Is she seriously and truly think that he's a king? Or is she saying that as a cliche reference? Either way, it was sad to see for me. Like, wow, does this chick even know for real? Like, who she talking about? Who she's calling a king? So, aside from that, I digress. That's what I have to say about DMX and his passing. 50 years old, Earl Simmons, also known as DMX, very well known for the hits Party Up in Here, What They Really Want, songs that, he had collaborations with the Rough Riders, with the late Aaliyah, R&B singer Aaliyah, and again, the song that I named, What They Really Want, that's a song that he collabed with Dru Hill on, R&B group Dru Hill. So he has preceded us. Next is some new music. So, this music is it goes into the pop category. I'm presuming. I can't think of any other genre it would fall under, possibly. But this new song came out, and it's by Gwen Stefani and Saweetie, called Slow Clap. So, they do have a video for it. And I know who Gwen Stefani is. She used to be, oh God, what's the name of the group she used to be in? She's a former member of a 3-part group. I can't remember the name of the group, but, she's not new in the entertainment industry whatsoever. So if you don't know who Gwen Stefani is, I almost want to say shame on you. I mean, you can always Google her, of course. Gwen Stefani and Saweetie, I'm not really hip to any of her music, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 tracks from whatever her first album was. I'm not even sure if she has another album aside from her first album. That's how much I'm not, a follower of Saweetie or her music. But anyhow, she and Gwen Stefani again have a track together called Slow Clap, and it's like so lackluster. I was reviewing other people's, commentary about this track, and there's a consensus across the board that, the song is lackluster, that it's elementary, that it has a teeny bopper vibe. You know, any way you can diss it and really accurately categorize it, that's what I got to see coming from other people who commented about this song. So yeah, it's definitely nothing at all to look forward to playing anywhere except from possibly just at home. I mean, you might actually be able to play it around your young kids if you have them. But aside from that, I don't think it warrants play whatsoever. It's really like it reminds you like literally elementary school. Saying ABCs, okey doke, cracker jack, snap snap, clap clap. It's just, and again, the name of the song is Slow Clap, but it's just that like unworthy. And my best guess is the motivation behind this collaboration even was just with Gwen Stefani. She's just recently married to one of the judges off of so many of these singing talent shows, either The Voice or one of the other ones is her fiance or husband, country singer. I can't remember his name at this moment, but maybe it's just a way for her to feel like she has something on her agenda, some reason to become active beyond her marital status changing. And for Saweetie, it was a hopeful, viable distraction from her latest news of her breaking up with Quavo, and the tape release of their physical domestic issue that was recently leaked via video. But aside from that, it's like, whose idea was it for them to get together? And considering it was an idea that was able to come to life, this is the best collaboration they could muster. And like, oh well. Next. You really don't even have to take digs on it. You just give your honest opinion and keep it moving, which is that the song is weak. And again, it's like extremely low level, low vibrational. And that's that. Like, that's it. Another topic that I wanted to speak on is just happening to come across some news of some former NFL football player who apparently appeared to have murdered 5 people and then took his own life afterward. And this was in South Carolina. Now the story that I read about this, and this person is was a former NFL football player named Philip Adams. The story that I saw in regards to this situation, it's an incomplete summary. It really is. There's quite a few seemingly gaping holes in this story, because from what I read, it gives the impression that, I mean, he like shot a family, like a considerable portion of a family, and that this former football player, Adams, last name Adams, he had previous interaction, at least with the husband. He shot a husband, a wife, and 2 of their grandchildren that were at these grandparents' home. And so this woman, Barbara Leslie, her husband, a Dr. Robert Leslie, both 2 elders, 70 and 69 years old. And again, 2 of their grandkids, 5 5 years old and 9 years old. And also the fifth victim was someone else who happened to have been at the home at the time who was doing some work there, a 38-year-old man named James Lewis. So and there was a sixth person who was shot, but they did not succumb to their injury. They got hospitalized with serious injuries. So again, going back to the details as far as what happened and why it happened, apparently the male, Dr. Leslie, had previously treated Philip Adams in the past. Not sure what the treatment was for. It doesn't specify what, this Leslie is a doctor in. It just shows the title of him being a doctor. And again, it's just holes in this story. It's an incomplete story. And that's all it really says as far as, any possible association between him and these victims. But, it tried to speak highly of the doctor as far as his involvement in recognition within the community. And as far as Philip Adams goes, I guess after he shot these people, he fled the scene and police were searching for him, and they ended up finding his body nearby, about a mile away from the crime scene. But he had apparently, shot himself by the time police located and, got to him. So those are the most pertinent details about the story. And it's like, it's annoying because, okay, you see a story, we see this story, anybody who saw it, you see the story, but you don't even understand, like, okay, why was this story even shared with its incomplete details that would really make a difference in the decision to even, publicize a story like that. But apparently, that's something that occurred around, April the 8th. And again, it occurred in South Carolina. So it's unfortunate information, but also incomplete information that you really can't do too much with, aside from possibly become saddened, triggered, etc. So I wish there was more information that was made available about it immediately during the time that story was initially shared. I haven't seen any updates or heard any updates about that story. If you know of anything, please feel free to share it. And again, comment, as I'm covering these various subjects here in popular culture and entertainment. So it was already reported as far as the actor Rege Jean Page. Excuse me. You try it one more time. Rege Jean Page knowingly not returning for season 2 of the series on Netflix called Bridgerton. Okay, we already knew that, but that information was followed up with, supposed additional details to why he's not returning. So, the next information that came out gives the impression that it tries to give the impression that the salary was a factor, but honestly, I think that in general, and I can understand why, that for him, okay, the salary that they were offering, $50,000 per episode, and they reportedly had, made an offer to him, not as a means of negotiation. It's not the impression I get, but it appears that the initial offer that was made to him was $50,000 per episode for 2 to 3 episodes for him to be featured on for season 2. Because his character, the Duke, in the book version of Bridgerton, would not, the way that it's written would not constitute him being on beyond season number 1 as far as the TV series goes. And so again, they offered him come on for 2 or 3 episodes, obviously so minimal visibility, but still part of the storyline, $50K. And, pretty much that was the offer. And so he turned it down. And reportedly, he said, because he, has been offered, he has other projects on the forefront. And he wouldn't have the time to retain being featured on Bridgerton. So, and that's the general, put those two things together, time and salary. Even if the salary they offered would have been higher, does that change the amount of time a person can realistically make if they have other projects that they've been accepted for and that they want to go forward with to, try to step back on? No. So I really don't think it's a matter of the salary. I really do think that his motivation is that he wants to diversify his portfolio. And why not? Who could blame him? I wouldn't. Like, that makes sense to me. I don't know how many other things that he's been featured in. Rege Jean Page. I haven't seen him prior to Bridgerton, and if I have, I don't know it. He's pretty attractive. He's foreign black guy. So again, if Bridgerton was his first role, on a series or period, as far as, semi big screen or big screen goes. And again, the way that the book version of this story was written, it's like, well, you already obviously have an idea of the potential of your character's growth and transition if and when the series continues on, and that your character is going to, subside sooner rather than later. He was aware of that before things began. He began with the end in mind. And now, this is the point for him to transition, and he's doing exactly that. And he's able to do that seamlessly. So it's not even a matter of discussing the salary that was offered to him. It really is a matter of him taking advantage of the opportunities that he is able to entertain and follow since the first season of Bridgerton is concluded. So, I mean, that's great. That makes sense. Nothing else does or would, in my opinion. So, next topic, and I'm going to be weaving back to this, but so they had the introductory, I'm calling it the introductory episode to Ready to Love season 4. The first episode of this season which aired 3 weekends ago, was, they were showing everyone who's going to be participating. And so it was mostly just, host commentary by Tommy Miles, which included his wife. And again, they were just assessing everybody who's going to be, participant. So really, for anyone who watches it, who's been watching it, we really didn't get to get an idea of who these people were directly up until the weekend of April the 10th. No, I'm sorry. I think I'm miscalculating. Up until April the 8th. No, I got it right. April the 10th, April the 9th. Yeah, so that's when episode 2 aired. And so, due to that, technically episode 2 was really episode 1 because episode 2 is when the cast members actually came on to, the site to, be exposed to each other. So episode 2 premiered on April the 9th. And we got to see everybody who's going to be on there. And 2 men got eliminated that same episode. Episode 3 premiered Friday, April the 16th. So now this is the first episode where we get to see dates occurring. And I want to say, pertinent eliminations happening. But because again, actual dates are involved. And, we got to see a little bit of personally requested interactions as far as, again, those dates went. So that's what just occurred on April 16th. So I'm going to circle back around to that. But I just wanted to backtrack a little bit from the premiere episode so that it can be included in my commentary for others who also watch Ready to Love, and so that we can keep track of what's happening and, who was still on there and at what point they're, getting picked off the show. So, but going on to another television program, network television program, Saturday Night Live. I just so happened to notice shortly after it aired that the rapper Kid Cudi, and it came out quick, like a headline about him came out extremely quickly. He performed on Saturday Night Live on April the 10th. And one of his, musical performances, if not the musical performance that he had during that episode, was inclusive of him wearing a dress during his performance. I'm not talking about a skirt that he wore. I'm not talking about a kilt. He wore an actual, thorough, full-fledged dress with flowers and, strap handles on stage while he was rapping. And so the way that it was labeled via some social media outlet was as, or just media outlet, period, was as a fact that he made a fashion statement. It was further explained by, some commenters that supposedly or apparently the reason why he wore the dress was because his performance was a tribute to the late rocker Kurt Cobain. So my observation of people's comments about this via social media, and of course it's like, okay, let me watch the performance for myself first. That was number one. So after I did that and saw that Kid Cudi did not say verbatim himself at the beginning of nor at the conclusion of his performance that it was a tribute. Like, he didn't explain that, he didn't state that. Nobody else stated that right before nor immediately following his performance. So I think the only manner in which to presume that his performance was a tribute to Kurt Cobain was based on the actual song that he performed itself, which I don't know the name of the song. I don't remember the name of the song, but all in all, again, when I looked at people's comments about it, was quite a few. A number of people were praised his appearance, as far as him having worn a dress during that performance. A lot of people praised it. A lot of people, defended it. The basis of the praise that I read about was just saying that, oh, that's cool, and oh, he's brave, and oh, I have respect for him doing that, and things along those lines. But the opposite reactions that were written were along the lines of saying, and really questioning and being saddened and disappointed and cognizant of him having worn a dress and being a Black male being indicative of the breakdown and the effeminization of Black males. So that's what the vast majority of oppositional commentary, that did not praise him for wearing a dress was saying. And again, I told myself, well, let me just, watch it for myself before I even check on anybody's comments. I may have just read a handful of comments before I watched it, and I had to check myself. Oh, wait a minute, let me see. Let me not go off of other people's opinions. Let me form my own opinion first and foremost. And so again, after I watched it, I didn't see anything to be proud of. And the feeling that I was left with was I've heard of Kid Cudi's name before. From what I know, it's been quite some time since he's been out on the music scene, and so my overall assessment about his appearance during that performance, and knowing as on Saturday Night Live, was that at best it could be understood to have been a publicity stunt. Usually, and again, I guess the song that he did was a song by Kurt Cobain. That's my assumption. I don't know this. But if that is accurate, then I can understand those who co-signed him to a degree. I don't see or know of the relevance of Kid Cudi as an artist to an artist such as Kurt Cobain. So that's why I say I can partially relate to anybody who commented saying that they respect Kid Cudi for having made that tribute. But on the other side, the oppositional comments responded to that by explaining that, well, there's other means by which Kid Cudi could have appeared that would have sufficed in paying tribute to Kurt Cobain, such as it could have had a picture, Kid Cudi could have worn a t-shirt, for example, with an image of Kurt Cobain from his performance when he wore a dress, and had that on a t-shirt versus Kid Cudi himself actually sporting a dress to perform it. And I can 100% embrace that as something that could have been a more that's an avenue that could have and would have been more highly embraced versus what he did and being compelled to wear a dress to rap and singing, whatever, whatever, however you want to classify that performance. Yeah, there was definitely more than one way to have conveyed tribute, paying a tribute. So, but Kid Cudi did what he did. Again, that was on Saturday Night Live, the night of April the 10th. And if you haven't seen it, you can always look it up on demand. If you have cable, you can pull it up on demand. SNL. You can also pull it up on YouTube. It's there. You can watch for yourself and decide for yourself your thoughts on that. If you have any, if any thoughts occur from watching that, and how you feel about it. Again, you can also share your comments here in the chat box about it. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about Kid Cudi. Hopefully that stunt works out in his favor. I'm not sure how or what his objective was beyond paying tribute. But again, hopefully he'll get what he needs from it. I think he's kind of cute. But yeah, having that dress on, that was not a good look. I don't see that. That's not a good look for any male. And I don't even care how old the male is. That's not appealing, period. It's not. Like, not even if that was an acting role. Like, he was on stage performing, singing a song. Like, you don't need to sport something off the beaten path to convey whatever message that you hope to convey. And actually, wearing a dress is something that's closer along the lines of something the actual actor would be able to do and effectively convey such a thing as far as a tribute or any other message. That's for actors. That's for actors. But dude, you was on stage rapping / singing. Nah, bro. Like, he got duped. He got duped. He got persuaded. And I think that was a bad move. It's a bad look, definitely, for him. It's a bad look. Bad look. But again, at minimum, successful publicity stunt. To what degree, that will remain to be seen. So next. Now check this out. This might be the I don't know. I think this is probably the worst of topics among the others that I want to speak on. And I knew that these two, this dual episode would be kind of lengthy, not only because I'm putting 2 episodes into one, but just it's like general fuckery, y'all. General fuckery has occurred within the past 2 weeks. And this is all amidst the, police violence and, killing of unarmed people of color, the police killings of youth, like minors. Amidst all this stuff occurring nationwide, people getting shot up at work, at FedEx, by a youth, by an mentally unstable youth. Amidst all of this stuff, this fuckery has been occurring in popular culture and amongst entertainers and by celebrities. And it's like, it gives you a general feel of what the fuck is going on. Like, you just kind of can't help but to question everything, a little bit of everywhere. And it's like, I want people to really get serious. Like, if for no other time, I mean, take a few minutes now, for real. Like, this is too much. So, the next entertainer with the fuckery here has been, and this is kind of, it's a little bit, I don't want to call it coincidental at all because it's no coincidence, but this is this is right in line with, I had this entertainer on my upcoming repertoire, and actually he's somebody that I've been wanting to highlight, and so it's been overdue for me to even say his name. At this point, it's been overdue. So this is just, current fuckery by him that is out here to be seen. So, yeah, man, everybody knows. Everybody knows who. Everybody has heard of. Everybody has seen the R&B singer slash actor Usher Raymond, right? So, if you didn't know, recently, this guy, and again, I already mentioned the word fuckery. Yeah, fuckery is applicable to Usher right about now because what he did was reportedly, Usher went to a strip club in Atlanta, and at some point after he left the club, it was realized by at least one of the strippers who had been dancing for him, while he was there, that the money that was on the floor was, when she looked closely at the money, it included images of Usher himself. Like, his pictures were on some of these bills. And it's like more than one type of bill. So it's counterfeit money. But the first thing that came to my mind upon hearing about this was, who does that? Like, who goes through the trouble and the process of creating fake money, like play money, toy money, right? Who does that? And we're talking about, this is Usher's, somebody like Usher's image. I mean, to the extent of you putting your imagery on this fake money. So, I mean, there's a few different ways that this can be sliced, but, bottom line, and simply put, it just don't make no good sense. It don't matter what reasoning was behind it. It was just a nonsensical ass thing to do. And so the stripper who recognized the discrepancy with this, with this currency, I think she called another stripper or somebody. She called somebody or shared, took pictures of it and shared. Ultimately, she shared visual evidence of this fake money with other dancers, and ultimately Usher and or his team explained that the money was not left in the club for the intention of, I don't want to use, golly, thoughts are escaping me right now. The money was not left in the club for the intention of confusing the strippers, because the dancers had already been paid. Okay, so Again, this is his team's explanation. Okay. And so, excuse me, Usher, again, the payment had already been made to the dancers, I guess up front. And so apparently this money with Usher's images on it was for the sake of, it was supposed to be some means of a promotion, but that was not clearly explained in what I read about it. Okay. What are you trying to promote to strippers, to dancers at their place of work during their work hours by way of leaving a false version of what would be their compensation? What is it that you want them to know that you can't communicate to them in any other fashion aside from communicating it in the fashion of leaving them fake money at a strip club that you would want them to know? It's almost interesting to me to even, consider that reasoning, because the only thing that comes to my brain was the hope for the probability that those same strippers would either themselves come or else share with other strippers / dancers that, oh, Usher's going to be having a show in Vegas, a recurring show in Vegas this summer, and maybe we can go to Vegas and possibly do some shows for him there. That's the only possible thing I can think of that they wanted to be conveyed to these dancers by way of them seeing this counterfeit money with his pictures on it, right? But listen to everything I just said. That's not something that can be clearly assumed by way of looking at a fake $50 bill, $100 bill, $20 bill, or single bill with a picture of Usher Raymond on the front and back of them. Right? Right. That's why their supposed explanation of it having been this money being created for marketing, this counterfeit money being created for marketing purposes, don't make no damn sense any way you try to slice it. Okay. I mean, if you disagree and if you can, if you can understand that from a clearer angle, please let me know. Share that with me. Put it in the chat window, please, because that's just, I don't know, that's just one of the most immature things, if not the most immature thing I've heard of a celebrity doing since the beginning of 2021. Like, that's some kid shit. Usher is 41 years old, 42 years old, and has what, 3, 4 kids? Just had another baby. But he's also out here doing shit like this and trying to claim it's making fake money with your pictures on it, taking it to a strip club where you're at being entertained and trying to turn around and claim that it's for marketing purposes. Oh, marketing. Fuck out of here. That's a sign of delusion. And whoever, definitely it's a sign of delusion if he came up with that idea himself. But it's, equally as bad if somebody else came up with the idea. Either way, he obviously signed off on it because what happened. And so he got called out, and that's the explanation. Well, it was for marketing. Bruh, I'm gonna need you to do better in your life and in the world in general. Come on. Next is our girl. Also, everybody knows her. If you just recently getting to know, who she is. She was also recently in a versus battle against Ashanti. I'm talking about Keisha Cole. Keisha Cole, this girl, and this comes down to, the topic that I mentioned at the beginning, just generally the topic of about self-image. Okay, it's her and another woman I'm gonna mention in regards to the same topic. Self-image issues, self-image questions. Like, what's the deal? So Keisha Cole is out here also, old enough to, the saying goes, when you know better, you do better. And obviously, that's a wishful thinking type of statement. It's a wishful thinking level mantra. Okay, Keisha Cole is also old enough to do better than what I'm about to tell you she did. Okay, Keisha Cole is in her late 30s. Okay, she also has, I think she has 2 kids, 2, possibly 3 kids. Right? This chick recently, she was dating this younger guy. She has an ex-boyfriend, recent ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Nico Kale, right? And when it was first publicized that she was dating this younger man, obviously age was the highlight. Their age difference was the highlight. Really, just his very young age in general was the highlight of their reported relationship. So now that she's no longer with him, apparently, she recently has begun a new relationship, and she was compelled to go to the lengths of posting. I believe they said it was either on, based on what I read, she posted on TikTok video of apparent hickeys on her neck, and she made a statement about the source of those hickeys relative to her new boyfriend, her new guy. Um, yeah, that's not even thirst trapping though. I'm not sure I know what that's called. I'm not sure there's a single, phrase that can be used to refer to or describe that, aside from maybe saying so. I mean, that's not even applicable. I mean, that's just the best thing I can think of though. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Give me one second. All right, all right. Hello, 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 hello. Testing. Okay, I'm back on. All right, so yeah, I don't know what to call such behavior like that from Keisha Cole. Again, a mother pushing 40, definitely old enough. It's like, what are you doing? Like, that's
Oh, I got it. I got it. I got a more applicable phrase that could be applied to that. Immature. Like, what are you doing? Like, you got kids. I think that's the main factor that dictates, you know, that type of behavior being looked down upon. She has kids, so why are you posting that? Why do you want it to be known that somebody's been sucking on your neck, on your body, anywhere on your body? Like, what's going on with you? If that's something that your new man did, why is it not enough that it can remain between the two of you? Instead of you promoting it on TikTok. I mean, do you do you want somebody to try to take your man? Like, I mean, that's a valid question, right? Does she want someone to take her man? Because we get to see, anybody can see the type of what worked, the type of suction, he's done to her. But I mean, it's goofy. It's goofy. No, that's the best phrase to describe her having done that. Goofy. That's better than immature. Freaking goofy. Okay, so she did that goofy shit on TikTok. I don't even look at TikTok. And if I would have seen it myself, I likely would have been confused as hell by it. But yeah, that's just this. I mean, come on, I'm around the same age, and I can't picture myself doing such a thing. And again, considering she's like, an entertainer, it's like, come on, girl. You need to hurry up and get your life, like real fast, very quickly. But we're gonna do what we want to do, right? Next chick, fall under the same category of question with the image, self-image is uh is Hazel-E. Now Hazel-E, we know who she is by way of the Love and Hip Hop franchise from MTV. Love and Hip Hop New York, I believe, and I think she actually had transitioned between Love and Hip Hop New York and Love and Hip Hop Miami. Maybe she started off on Love and Hip Hop Miami. Either way, we know who she is from Love and Hip Hop. Okay. On I believe the last season of the show that she was actually on, I remember that Hazel-E had, it was sometime between the last season, the last and the second to last season that she was featured on. I remember that Hazel-E, part of her storyline was to do with her having had, she experienced an injury. I think she had a car accident or something happened. She experienced an injury that affected her, physically and affected her face. And so she had been talking about how she had, corrective or healing or I don't know if rehabilitative surgery is a term or not, but she had surgery supposedly due to this accident that she was in, right? And the surgery was to her nose and possibly also, something to do with her mouth or her lips. Now, when I saw that, I strongly questioned it to myself because I was thinking, who feels the need to explain all that, having any work like that done following an accident that they experienced? Because the way that the information was conveyed was pretty
it seemed like highly voluntary. Like that's the vibe that I got from how that information was conveyed. Like, okay, you letting it be known that you're having or that you're going to have surgery on your nose and your lips. Okay, that's your business. Why are you talking about, like, what is, how is this news? Like, really, that's the question that it brought up. Like, how is that news? That's not news. You had an accident. This is something corrective for you to, help you retain your normal appearance, or even or not. Either way, that's your business. That is your business. What is that to, seek to have published in the media? That's your doggone business. So, what is recently happening with her, with Hazel-E, is that, and I didn't even know, just, indicative of how far out of the, you know, partial spotlight that she was in, that she's no longer been in, that she, either she has a husband. Didn't know she was even married. Didn't even know she had gotten married. But excuse me, Hazel-E and her husband recently, they have a baby, and Hazel-E was recently hospitalized due to surgical complications. Okay. Now, that's something else I didn't know as far as her having a baby. Bottom line about this information about Hazel-E is that she, and these are quotes, okay, coming from her by way of gossip. She said, again, she experienced complications during surgery that she underwent sometime in March, right? And she was crying and explaining that, excuse me, my throat. Excuse me. Hazel-E, previously from Love and Hip Hop, was explaining that due to complications of surgery, she was having makeover surgery. She said, quote, they had to take my boobs. She also said, quote, it was a lot of fluid leaking and it was making me really sick. And I came in for dehydration. They decided to remove my boobs. So she also said, now I just got to a new hospital because I'm getting a blood transfusion. I wouldn't be around for my kid anymore. I had to have the mommy makeover. Then my makeover didn't work. So now I don't have any boobs anymore. So you guys can't fucking make fun of me anymore. This is what it is, Maybe at a different time, like when my body has a chance to heal from my tummy tuck. Look, like I have no more boobs. They're gone. It just is what it is. That's the update. I just want my old body back. I have some mom guilt that is ripping my heart apart. I was trying to have my baby and be internationally known. I wanted her to be well traveled before I. And so, her baby, her child, she and her husband had this baby just a little over a year ago. And her husband's name is Devon Waller. Again, I didn't even know. I wonder how long they was married before, the baby was conceived. But either way, I was not privy to either report of her status changing, her marital status, nor her parental status kicking in. But yeah, apparently that's what's going on with her. So based on the way she, stated that they took her boobs,
it gives me the impression that she had implants and no longer has breast implants. At least I'm hoping that that's what she was expressing, because that's how it reads to me. And she obviously said it repeatedly. I don't have boobs. I don't have any boobs anymore. I mean, if it's beyond that, then I think that's extremely sad. But if she's only referring to having to have implants, breast implants removed, then I have, like, kind of a generally opposite emotional thought process about it, because it's one thing if you get breast implants and you can't keep them. But it's another, say, if you're talking about having to, if you're in a position to where, you're told that by doctors that you need, that it's in the interest of you continue to live, to have your natural breasts removed. And so that's why, that's why I even decided to include her in speaking on this topic of self-image, including Hazel-E in this topic, because she obviously had some work done on her face, and she felt the need to, give a disclaimer about it around having that done, a handful of years ago. And now this, where she was attempting to undergo some additional surgery following giving birth, and it didn't work. It didn't work for her. And she's talking about she doesn't have any more boobs. So I feel like what she said is clear, but also it's a possibility that it's not clear. And I mean, the main thing I have to say about that is that she's fortunate to be alive to have even made those statements, those quotes of hers that I just read, let alone if she was able to retain her natural breasts. Okay. And so hopefully at this point she understands that. So something else that she mentioned, again, it gives me the impression that she's only referring to breast implants. She had mentioned something about leakage, and a lot of fluids, where she was losing a lot of fluids. Look, she lucky to still be alive following all that. She could have died under the knife. Let alone doctors reversing the installation process. Okay. She could be dead right now. So for her to have been able to, share the result of her trying to undergo surgical makeover going wrong, that's blessing in itself for her. Considering she's a new mother and a wife, like, and trust, I'm not seeking to downplay anything that she shared, nothing that she said at all. Because I'm nowhere close to being in her shoes. And again, I just hope that for her at this point, she recognizes her blessings to still be alive, in order to be a mother and to care for her daughter, and to still be with her husband at this point, and hopefully he will remain with her for a long time, considering they got married as her husband. So I hope better for Hazel-E. I remember at the beginning of her being on Love and Hip Hop,
Um, I think that I thought she was okay, if I recall correctly. I thought she was okay. And it wasn't until the point that she started having tips with people, and then, the surgery thing kicked in, because she had been on there long enough, on the show long enough. And so she spoke about it, and the vibe that I got from her in that regard was that she was open to it, and maybe even that she was eager about, cosmetic surgery, cosmetic and surgical enhancements, rather. But, everything is not for everybody. And when it comes to surgery, it doesn't matter what it's for. There's always a risk of your life at stake when you go under the knife for anything. Even when you go to a dentist and they give you, laughing gas, or, to knock you out, you're at risk that way too. Anytime you go under the knife, there's possibility you're not going to wake up. So, again, hopefully Hazel-E can recognize that, even though she didn't get what she wanted with that attempted physical makeover, hopefully she can see it through. Hopefully she can overcome that and, again, acquire some confidence about, other aspects of herself physically and in other ways as well. You know what I mean? I really hope that for her. I genuinely do. And I felt like, again, going back to the beginning of her being all over hip hop, I felt like she's more attractive than she realized. So for her to have been so eager to, get a nose job and whatever else that she had done since then and has attempted to have done since then, it's like, maybe that first thing, maybe that work on her nose, maybe that was meant to be the only thing intended for her to be able to have done surgically, without her being at risk, because she could use some serious self-worth enhancement. But that's the type of thing that comes from within. Like, not even her husband can, or maybe he can. Since she does have a husband now, maybe he can help her to achieve that. But ultimately, the majority of that, gumption does have to come from within the person who is lacking it. So I hope so much better for her, for Hazel-E, as far as her self-image goes. And I'm glad that she's not still in love with hip hop, because that does a number on so many people. Reality TV, Love and Hip Hop, definitely Love and Hip Hop franchises have done a number on so many people who have been on it, and that's also in regards to them, those other people also being affected by cosmetic enhancements. Like, and I know, like, I don't know if it's documented. I don't know if anybody in the industry has verified it, but I know for myself, just by way of general observation, it's very apparent that on a lot of reality TV shows, if not on all of them, what I've recognized is that they appear to have a part of the contract, part of the arrangement of remaining on these shows for what, a minimum of 2 to 3 seasons, constitutes the participants on these shows to go under the knife. It's very obvious. If you've never paid attention, we can all look back now and see. All you got to do is review seasons 2 through 4 of anybody who's been on a reality TV show, and I'm speaking about women, review the physical changes, visual changes of any woman who's been on a United States aired reality TV show, the same one, between the second season that they were on the show, the second consecutive season that they were on the show, into the fourth consecutive season that they were on the show. And it's very obvious to tell that all of them have a physical difference to them. And that I'm confident that it's by way of some type of contractual obligation. It's part of their contract. It's included in their contract in some way, shape, or form. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go into the reasoning, not on this dual episode, but the fact that it's a factor is, it being a factor is clearly evident to me. All right. Moving on. Good luck with getting your life back, Hazel-E. Getting your confidence, period, and seeking to obtain a normalized sense of self, since you have a husband and a child now. I really do wish that for you, and that's not even something that I think about, mothers and wives in a general sense. I really wish that for her specifically, because like I said, she could have lost her life, but she's still here. So good luck to Hazel-E going forward. And to round out this dual episode, episodes 14 and 15, again, comment in the chat box on anything that you're hearing. Yes, I'm live right now. Even if you don't get to tune in while I'm live, you can still comment after the fact. But to round out this dual episode, coming close to the end here, is touching on, we got to circle back to relationship-ish. Got to circle back, y'all. Now listen. listen. I knew that when it was first reported that it was closer to being accurate information than not, right? And so I say that as it pertains to your people, to your girl, Jennifer Lopez and Adam Rodriguez, right? So how come we're seeing now that they have, I guess, both, they're jointly, verifying that their engagement is off. But my thing, when that was first reported, was, who would say that about somebody's relationship without having any indication of it being true? Like, who would just make that up, right? Because this information was initially reported, about their relationship being on the rocks or beyond 2 weeks ago. And then J-Lo tried to, smooth it out by saying, oh no, we're not broken up. We just working on some things, right? And that was, how long ago was that? That was as of, come on, calendar. Yeah, like I said, 3 weeks ago. So now the same report is, the same report has resurfaced. So I hope nobody believes that a lapse of 3 weeks in between the same story coming out, being patted down, and resurfacing was a factor. 3 weeks were not a factor. If anything, 3 weeks was a buffer period for Jennifer Lopez and Adam Rodriguez to, decide whether or not they wanted to muster up an explanation to be broadcast to us, the public, as far as the status of their relationship concluding. And, I would like to think that the ability to do that is more of a benefit for Jennifer Lopez than it is compared to for Adam Rodriguez. And if you're wondering why I think that and why I say that, because Jennifer Lopez, her dating history, is heavy with relationships with other entertainers, with other people in the music industry. Even though she is prominent now, most prominent as an actress, her start was relative to the music industry. She started out as a dancer. She transitioned to a degree of singing, and now again, her current prominence is in the acting world. But over all these years, her relationships, have only sustained but for so long, and what she's only had, and I'm not saying only to, try to down talk her, but she's had just one marriage, which was to Iglesias. I can't remember his first name. We know who she was married to. That's the only marriage that she's had. Among, again, the list of other entertainers that she's been involved with. She was involved with Puffy. She was married. She has twins by way of that marriage. And, she had a brief relationship with Ben Affleck. One of her dancers, she was dating, younger guy, and Adam Rodriguez. So now, from what I estimate, her relationship with Adam Rodriguez this is possibly the second longest relationship that she had that the public knew of, aside from her marriage to Iglesias. But even if that's the case, again, generally, the majority is still gonna, again, look in the direction and have a frown towards Jennifer Lopez versus towards A-Rod. Why? Because society is mostly sexist. Okay. So anyway, the statement that was issued, I've been saying Adam Rodriguez, Jennifer Lopez and Alex Rodriguez officially call it quits. Again, following a few weeks after initial reports said that they were broken up. Okay. Part of their joint statement said, quote, "We have realized we are better as friends and look forward to remaining so." This is what they said previously 3 weeks ago when the information about their relationship ending first came out. Quote, "All the reports are inaccurate. We are working through some things." That's something else to me that was clear, like a clear attempt to cover. Because again, who knows about your relationship to the point that, oh, I'm gonna tell a media outlet, I'm gonna tell a media source without it being accurate. Like, I don't think it's too many people doing stuff like that anymore these days. That doesn't really happen anymore unless, there's actual fire where smoke's coming from. It's not really happening like that anymore. It used to happen a lot. But now it's so many ways to prove things. It's more than one way to prove so many things that people ain't really just generally just fabricating things out the blue like folks used to do. That's not happens at an extremely low rate now compared to in the past. So anyhow, what else do I want to say about that? Yeah. It was only a few weeks later that Lopez shared a series of selfies from the set of her new movie, Shotgun Wedding, in which she wasn't wearing her engagement ring. Now, just a few days later, things are officially over. I mean, that's also like clear indication. Like, so why would you try to double? Oh, we working on. But chick, if you usually wearing a ring that somebody who proposed to you gave you, and now you're not wearing it, and you regularly like out and seen by people, the only justification behind it is that your relationship with that same person is suffering. Okay, like that's the clearest, most direct reason that can be determined. Okay, it don't take that much conversation and confirmation to recognize that about people that's been together and involved with each other for years. Okay, and these two were together since 2017. It's 2021 now. So what the hell? Anyway, another joint quote, I guess, by them. They said, "We will continue to work together and support each other on our shared businesses and projects. We wish the best for each other and each other's children out of respect for them. The only other thing we want to say is thanks to everybody who has sent kind words and support." Okay. I'm sorry that she felt the need to lie. Like, you break up, you break up. What is that to try to buffer or hide from? Like, embrace reality. Like, that's my thought about it. And finally, to conclude this dual episode, um, unfortunately, another death of well-known hip hop rap artists during the period of during the period of the 2000s era. And he was also hospitalized at the same point that DMX was, just within the past week and a half, is Black Rob. So yeah, again, he was in the hospital during the same period that DMX was in the hospital, just within a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And to the degree that somebody was recording him and he was in the midst of speaking, and he looked so like downtrodden. He looked so, at the end of the ledge. And so whomever was recording him says to him, "What do you think about DMX?" And he had Black Rob had I'll say he definitely had a poignant response, talking up the thought of DMX. But I mean, to whomever recorded that, like, what I would like for them, I need for that person, whoever it is, to try to imagine themselves laying up in a bed in the hospital And of course, you don't know whether or not you're on your deathbed, but if that's how you feel internally, if that's how physically low you feel, try to picture being in that position and somebody coming to you and asking you about somebody else. Period. Like, try to picture that shit. Picture that shit. That's what I need that person who recorded Black Rob in the hospital bed, looking, speaking like barely. It's almost like he was struggling to talk. And you want to ask him about somebody else. Picture that you were Black Rob in that moment. And remember that shit the next time you pick up any recording device to go to speak to somebody else and capture them. Remember that shit. And that's all I'm going to say about that person, to that person who did that. Because it's evident that Black Rob was on his deathbed in that moment. All right. Black Rob just passed away at 51 years old. At the time that he was hospitalized, it was not reported what he was enduring. And I haven't seen anything to this current point still that gives any details, to indicate what his situation was. Don't know. I did see a speculation that he had been he was experiencing a long-standing illness, and I think it was listed specifically, but I don't recall what that was. So either way it goes, though, as of sometime between April 16th and April 17th, the rapper, probably best known for the rap song club hit Whoa, Black Rob, 51 years old, passed away between August 16th and 17th. Between April 16th and 17th, 2021. He has preceded us. So, he is added to the list of, highly impressionable rappers of our time that, is gone now. So hopefully he was able to be surrounded by, folks who were caring beyond just wanting to inquire about his thoughts of others and who, really did want to, try to help provide him with some level of comfort in his last moments of being cognizant and communicative to others before he succumbed to whatever he was enduring. And I rarely subscribe to this phrase. Probably because I consider it to be an automatic phrase to apply. But I think also because it's kind of an ancient thing to say, in my opinion now. But I saw somebody, post a comment about Black Rob saying RIP, and I co-signed that. That's how I genuinely feel to see that this news about him passing. I do subscribe to Black Rob resting in peace. I didn't even see his real name. But yeah, rest in peace. rapper Black Rob. And I also hope that he knew, how impactful the music that he made was. Okay, and so now I'm actually seeing that apparently he was suffering from kidney disease. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. So yeah, apparently that at a minimum is what he succumbed to. But again, I haven't seen any official report. So with that being the case, it is possible he may have also been enduring more than just that issue. Maybe some, official information about what caused his passing will come out. But again, at a minimum, it appears that Black Rob was suffered from a kidney disease. Okay, and actually, when you look at some of the more recent photographs of him, you can see some deterioration, physically about him, like in his face. You can see like around his eyes. He looked extremely tired. But yeah, again, I hope that he was aware how impactful his music was, and I know that he had more hits beyond Whoa. Let me see if I can name some of those real quick to wrap this up. But definitely Whoa. Anytime listen, I can't think of any time that I heard the introduction, the beginning of that song, getting played at a party, and that nobody in the crowd was, getting hyped up. And once the main beat kicked in, that nobody started dancing to it. Okay, so, okay, yeah. Not only was Whoa a major hit and again well known track by Black Rob, also the track Let's Get It. All right. Also the track Can I Live featuring the Locks. Okay. So again, I repeat, I hope that he knows that his music was impactful, and he will definitely be missed for that, for those hits that he had. That so many people are gonna continue to sing along with, and recognize on the music scene, because that's what real music fans do. we recognize and we don't forget about hits. So on that note, if you liked my vibe, if you enjoyed my flow, make sure you subscribe to this Golden Dark Dame. If you didn't get to listen to me actively on this live, that's all right. Try to catch me on the next one. Most of my episodes I have ended up doing live. This has become my regular sequence. So make sure you like, subscribe, and follow this account here on YouTube. And also make sure that you follow my profile on Instagram of the same name, Golden Dark Dame, GOLDNDARKDAME. That's me. Follow me, like me, subscribe me, share me, comment on my episodes, and catch up on any previous ones that you're not privy to. Go ahead and check them out. All right. Keeping up with pop culture, keeping up with program information, relationship news, entertainment, music, all of that. All right. Until the next one.